reason that the writer has penned this thing, he has penned this because there are some things that's born of the will of the flesh. And what God will come and do, he will put his finger on that which has been born of the will of the flesh. And he's putting his finger on all stuff that's been born of the flesh. I just wish I could preach it. The battles of the will, there are things the flesh want to do that it doesn't matter what you say to yourself. Your flesh will have its way if you ain't careful. I wish I could preach this. How many times have we gotten ourselves in circumstances, situations, relationships, people, jobs, companies, houses that we could not afford, cars we could not afford, things and people we couldn't afford, stuff that we couldn't afford, all because you saw it in the mall, and all because you were trying to keep up with somebody. The will of the flesh. I wish I could preach this. Battle of the will of the flesh. Another will inside of this same text here, the will of man. This is a man perhaps who has had some salvation, some experience with God, but he has carnalized everything. It is the will of religion. When you look at your neighbor and say, there is a will that religion produces. It will not make himself one with God. It is self-righteous. I wish I could preach this. It is judgmental. It is critical. I wish I could preach. God, I wish I could touch it. It is pharisaical in nature. It is itself. It's about itself. It spiritualizes everything, but that spiritualizing is birthed out of carnality. The will of man. This is the natural man. This is the man who just lives often without seeking spiritual advice. The third will. Look at it and say, there is another will. There's another will in this text called the will of God. Now, if you don't get Isaiah 55 down, or Isaiah, well, we're at 55. If you don't get that down, you will never find the will of God. You will never, if you don't know that there is a distinct difference between your thoughts and his thoughts, you will never get to this third will, which is the will of God. This is the will that so often is so difficult to find. What is the will of God? Let me just tell you why it's so difficult to find the will of God. Because mainly you have these other two wills that are louder than the divine will of God. When you have lived in your own self-centeredness, when you don't know nothing about the cross, you know nothing about seeking the mind of God, you know nothing about self-denial, you know nothing about delayed gratification, you know nothing about waiting on the Lord. You know, Isaiah also says, they that wait upon the Lord, let me reinterpret that for you, they that embrace the cross, and they, I wish I could preach this, they that says that I embrace the cross of Christ, I pick up my cross daily, those who wait upon him and those who embrace the cross, oh God, your strength, you're gonna be renewed like an eagle, and when you get ready to do what God has divinely told you to do, then you're gonna mount up as wings of eagle, but it's all because you have learned how to wait upon the Lord. Will you just tell somebody, wait, waiting is difficult because we're self-centered. Waiting is difficult because we want our way. Waiting is difficult because, oh God, the will of the flesh is larger than the will of God.